Hey guys, welcome to a brand new series. This is a new show where we discuss games, game history and the logic behind them. Now we are starting this very first episode as we discuss Resident Evil 7. Okay, Resident Evil 7 was released earlier on this year. It was January 2017. Before the game was released, a teaser campaign including a playable demo was released on both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. It was also available for the PC. This teaser campaign, entitled Beginning Hour, followed a very similar story to that in the main game. We played in a random house in the middle of nowhere and had to try and discover the secrets of that house. Now it turns out in the main game, this house did become quite an important feature. Obviously during the demo playthrough we didn't know that. So my thoughts on the game in general. I loved it. I mean, I've been a fan of Resident Evils since the very beginning. Resident Evil 1 for the PlayStation 1 was one of the first games that I ever played or ever saw, and it was actually the reason why I bought a PlayStation back when I was a lot younger than I am now. Now, obviously there's been numerous remakes over the years. There was the one for the GameCube and then the very recent HD remaster which improved the graphics even further. So there's been numerous remakes of that very first game, but fundamentally the gameplay and the storyline has remained intact, just little improvements here and there. More noticeably, the graphics. Certain aspects of the story were changed and moved around when you compare the original PlayStation version to the new remastered versions. As far as I'm aware, that was purely down to limitations of the original platform, and these were always intended to be as part of the main game. As the future has progressed and we've now got these newer systems, they've been able to put those in the game, hence now how we have the remastered versions. Now hopefully the same thing is done for other games of the series, Resident Evil 2 and 3. I would love to see HD remasters of those. They have been rumoured for a while, so fingers crossed they will come out soon. Okay, so back to Resident Evil 7 then. The storyline. It was quite a leap from the previous games. Now, for me, I like to look at them as two separate games. Resident Evil 1, 2 and 3, Resident Evil 4, 5 and 6, and now Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 1, 2 and 3 were very much Raccoon City based. The first one where we were in the mansion, the second the police station, and the third was more around the streets of Raccoon City. Now the next three games, 4, 5 and 6, focused more on a different type of infection and followed a more urban environment. Now Resident Evil 7 has gone back to its roots and we're back to pure scares, pure storyline and a haunted mansion. Now obviously Resident Evil 7 is set out slightly different as we've got various different houses dotted around, but fundamentally that original concept is there. Now the storyline of Resident Evil 7 is very intriguing and still raises many questions even though the game has been complete, as further DLCs and story enhancements will come out over the coming years. So as we are at the moment, what we are to believe is that a company, whether it's Umbrella or another rival company, have developed this bioweapon. In the game, this bioweapon is represented through Evelyn, which is E001, as part of the E-series weapon. Evelyn, as we know, is apparent from pretty much the start of the game, however you don't really see her until probably about a quarter of the way through. And spoilers for anyone who hasn't played this game yet, Evelyn is the grandma all along, and we introduce the grandma very, very soon after we start the game. So the storyline continues. We get to meet a few of the Baker family, who we assume throughout the game are responsible for the mess that we are in. However, it does turn out towards the end that this family, the Bakers, were under the same spell, so to speak, that we were. And when I say we, I'm talking about Ethan and Mia. So the common link here is Evelyn. E001. She is the bioweapon that was created. Now, towards the end of the game, when you finally defeat Evelyn, Umbrella appears. Now, for anyone who knows the history, Umbrella was always the organisation that created the zombie viruses in the original games, and has always had links in the further games. Now, in this one, Resident Evil 7, currently there is no evidence that Umbrella were involved. All that we know is they are now here to clean up the mess. Towards the end of the game, a character that introduces himself as Redfield appears to Ethan. Now, this is strongly rumoured to be Chris Redfield, however, no confirmation at this time has been given. However, further storyline on this subject will be explained in a future DLC, due in spring of this year. Now let's talk about the combat. So, early Resident Evil games were very clunky in terms of their control system, as they used fixed position cameras. This did hinder the combat, as you had to be very, very specific where your character was aiming, and most of the time you couldn't actually see who you were aiming at. Now, Resident Evil 7 is a complete first-person adventure, therefore combat is muchly improved. The blocking system works wonderfully, and the actual gun system is very well paced as well. With the addition of certain upgrades that you can buy throughout the game, this makes reloading and your health management much easier as you get further on in the game. Now, onto the scares. Resident Evil 7 is very good at building up the atmosphere. For a good first half an hour to an hour of the game, you don't actually see anything that is a threat. However, you are constantly on edge because the atmosphere build-up is fantastic. When it comes to scares, there are a couple of things that you could class as jump scares, however most of it is more psychological and is just a build-up through the music and the gameplay elements. One key aspect of this is the atmosphere that the game portrays and builds up throughout. The audio is fantastic. The scenes are brilliant. The enemies offer enough threat for you to constantly be on edge. So all in all, the atmosphere builds up to create the ultimate horror experience. Now, I've touched on it slightly, but the audio and music. Now, the music in this game is very subtle and it only comes in at certain points, but it is used very effectively. In times where you feel under pressure or stress that you're being chased, there will be a tense music bed playing behind all the other audio. This works really well to again build that tension and really make you feel like you're part of the action. Other great uses of audio are in corridors or rooms where you can't quite see a threat but you can hear them. Therefore you know something is close by. Onto the cutscenes then. Now, there's two standout cutscenes from this game. One being at the very start when you are driving your car to get to the baker's farm. Beautiful scene, really, really good, to the stage where you can't quite tell if it's video or graphics. Now, the next notable scene for me is when the ship gets blown up. Again, very, very good scene, which uses some extra little graphical powers. Now, personally, I wish there was a few more of these cutscenes in the game, as they are the only two that stand out from my knowledge. Obviously, the ending is another one, however, it's very underutilised. I'm a big fan of cutscenes in games, and I appreciate the three that are in there. I just feel more would have made this game even better. So let's talk about the Resident Evil universe. We've already touched on it slightly, but there are little links in this game that do link us to the previous games. Now, all the previous games have existed in their own universe, Raccoon City being the main area. Now, this is the first game of the franchise that is in a real-life location, Louisiana. However, links to the other games do still exist, which suggests that this is in the same universe as all the others. One key component of this is Umbrella, as we know Umbrella are part of this universe as well as the others. Towards the end of the game, when we are about to enter the mines, we manage to listen to some audio recordings from helicopters. This is believed to be Umbrella, who are out here trying to find Evelyn, the E001 bioweapon. Their orders are shoot to kill. They are here to clean up the mess. Is this their mess or somebody else's mess? The answer to that question is still unknown. However, what we do know is Umbrella were there and are here to save the day. Also towards the end of the game, we see numerous helicopters, one that Redfield, an unknown character, appears from. As already mentioned, there's strong possibilities that this is Chris Redfield, a playable character from the other games. However, it's still to be confirmed. But what is confirmed is that Umbrella, an existing organisation, and the family name of Redfield do exist in this new universe. This all suggests one massive universe that encompasses all of the other Resident Evil games. Little is known about the Umbrella Corporation in Resident Evil 7. All we know at this point is that they do exist. Now, I surmise that further information will be released on Umbrella in upcoming DLCs, as we know the first major DLC that is completely free will be released shortly this year. And from looking at the evidence so far, that DLC points to being playing as Redfield. Not a Hero is its title, and I believe we will learn more answers through that DLC. Now, where does this take us into the future of Resident Evil? So, going back to my previous point that I like to think of them as three separate trilogies: Resident Evil 1, 2 and 3, Resident Evil 4, 5 and 6, and now Resident Evil 7, 8 and 9. I feel to continue the tradition, 7, 8 and 9 will continue this story that we are working on now. We'll be looking at more of these bioweapons, rather than it being a zombie outbreak, as there is no mention of any kind of zombies in Resident Evil 7. That's not to say both of these bioweapons and zombies outbreaks could not merge at some point down the line. Now, when we think of timelines, we know Resident Evil 7 is set in 2017. That is evident on the videos and the calendars that appear in the game. However, the older games, we are not 100% sure of where and when they exist. These could be running in tangent, this could be a prologue, this could be after, before, we don't know. All we know so far is that Resident Evil 7 is based this year in Louisiana. So what do we have to look forward to in the future? Well, with the success of Resident Evil 7, there is no doubt that an 8th and probably 9th game will be on the way in the coming years. These games will further enhance the story and maybe answer a few of the questions that we still have. One of my main questions going forwards is what happened to Lucas. We know he went to the mines, and we know there were no other survivors found in the Baker residence. So where did Lucas go? Zoe is another one. Depending on which playthrough and which ending you got, if you play Save the Mia playthrough, Zoe is left at the house. We don't hear from her again. So is she still alive, or has she died at the Baker house? These are two characters that are unaccounted for depending on the ending you play. But both endings do not mention Lucas. Is he going to come back further down the line? I think so. All we do know is Lucas was working for one of the organisations. He was sending out emails and insider knowledge about Evelyn and Mia. Which organisation and why is still unknown, but hopefully that information will be released soon. Now let's sum up very quickly my thoughts on Resident Evil 7. I thought it was a fantastic game, well paced, and was absolutely executed perfectly. My only criticisms would be I wish it was a little bit longer. I would have hoped there would have been a few more enemies in there, just to spice things up a little bit. The lack of zombies, however, I understand why they're not in the game. I would have liked to see maybe one or two in there, just to give it a little nod back to old Resident Evil. However, ultimately I thought it was a fantastic game, and I can't wait to play more DLC as it is released. Now, I have recently purchased the DLC pass, so all of that DLC I will be playing, and it will be on this channel as well, and I can't wait to find out more about this universe and this story that is so gripping in Resident Evil 7. Now, thank you ever so much for listening to my thoughts on the game, and we'll probably do another one of these down the line when there is another game that has enough for me to talk about. So thank you ever so much for watching, and I hope you've also enjoyed Resident Evil. Thank you, and goodbye.